Welcome to Let's Learn Together, a podcast from the East Greenbush Central School District. I'm Anna Nasavera, a senior at Columbia High School, and your guest host for this episode. Earlier this spring, New York State approved a cell phone ban for all K-12 public schools. The cell phone ban would prohibit student use of internet-enabled devices, including smartphones, tablets, and smartwatches, from the start to the end of the school day. All school districts are required to create and publish their own cell phone policies by August 1st, 2025, and then implement those policies for the 2025 to 2026 school year. On today's episode, Superintendent Jeff Simons discusses the East Greenbush Central School District's cell phone policy with members of the school's cell phone committee. They provide important information about the new state law, the research done by the cell phone committee this school year, and what Columbia's policy will look like starting in September. A little later on, students share what makes East Greenbush the best school district in the capital region. Our staff profile features school bus driver Kelly Kendrick, and we highlight the Goff Garden Club in the Student Activity Spotlight. Now, let's learn together.
On this episode of Let's Learn Together, we're going to tackle a hot topic. It's being discussed across New York State right now, a statewide ban on the use of cell phones in schools. And in East Greenbush, we've had a committee working with students, teachers, administrators, board members, and community members in anticipation of this new law coming into effect. It comes into effect and requires us to have a plan by August of this coming summer. So we're here joined by students, Manya Madan, Nathan Garrigan, Mariam Conteh, and Maddy Marra to talk about their perspectives as current Columbia High School students. We're also joined by Columbia High School's own principal, Mike Harkin, and teacher extraordinaire, Dan Wagner, who is also vice president of the EGTA and also a strong advocate for this new law. So at this point, I want to start with the student perspective, cell phones in schools. Can you give us a perspective, Manya? What are some of the problems in schools?
I definitely think they can be distracting, and just even the simplest thing like having it out on your desk or using it even in a school setting by like taking a picture, you can easily get distracted with notifications that pop up, and it's too much. And I think having it away altogether will just bring the focus back to school.
So, Manya, you make an interesting point. In fact, Governor Hochul has called this initiative distraction-free schools. And so what you're saying is having that cell phone out, utilizing the cell phone is a distraction to learning. What other issues impact students in terms of having cell phones in school? Nate?
I think even like outside of schools, I know you asked in school, but I think the bigger problem is that like almost everyone is addicted to phones. And I think the first step to solving that problem or even crisis is removing them in schools. I think that's the cleanest first step to doing that, and I think it'll provide a lot like more efficient learning and more like better classroom environments. I just think it's just like overall like a good thing for everyone.
Thank you, Nate. So I'm going to ask Mariam a tricky question. So what do you say to one of your peers, one of your classmates, when they say, they can't take my phone? That's my property. It's my right to have that phone. I can have it in school, and how dare you? What's your response to something like that?
The thing I've been saying lately is that it's a mandate. We don't have a choice, and the governor said so. And their response back to is, again, it's my property, and I just have to reiterate exactly what I said before.
So given that challenge and that stance that some students are taking, that we can't really enforce this rule, Maddy, what can we do to help educate the kids and get them on board with this new statewide initiative banning cell phones?
I think we should just keep raising awareness and talk about the benefits of it instead of kind of the negatives. I think by saying the positives, it will maybe secretly persuade some kids oh, maybe this is a good idea. And I think in the beginning of the year, a lot of kids will actually see a lot of good effects of it, and they will reduce a lot of problems. So
bringing people on board through communication, through problem solving, through sharing and talking with the other kids.
Yeah.
Dan Wagner is a social studies teacher here at the high school. He also is a leader within the Teachers Association, and Mr. Wagner has been involved in advocating for this change for quite some time. How do teachers feel about cell phones in schools in general?
We strongly dislike the cell phones in schools. It is an obstacle to learning. As adults ourselves, I think we are also addicted to this technology and to these phones, and you don't even realize how much you pick up the phone and yourself. But when you're teaching, you see every kid when they're picking up their phone and the distractions that they cause the student. I apparently have many students who are amazing multitaskers, but science has shown that multitasking doesn't really help you focus. In fact, it makes you divided. And there's a science behind the dopamine release that people get from picking up the phone, from seeing a notification. So as Nate said, we don't even realize that we're addicted. We are addicted to these phones. And it's fighting a battle that the kids don't even realize their own addiction, and it just leads to conflict. And we don't want conflict in the classroom. We want cooperation. We want to work together. We didn't choose to be educators to constantly tell kids to get off their phones. We chose to be educators to teach kids and to help them learn. And it's almost like a resentment builds because they are upset with us for saying to get off their phones because they have that addiction that's happening.
So Mr. Mike Harkin is the Columbia High School principal. He's in charge of the safety, the supervision, and the learning process for 1,200 ninth graders through 12th graders. And this is going to rest on his shoulders and the administrators of the high school and other staff to enforce. What are some of the things, Mr. Harkin, that you're currently considering that will help enforce this new law come September of next year?
So we've had a great committee all year, these students along with other faculty members, and we've talked about this all year, and we've decided that we are going to have a bell-to-bell ban of the cell phone. So when students arrive at school next year, they will place their phones into their yonder pouch. They'll remain in their yonder pouch, in their bag, or on their person for the entire day. And then at the end of the day, we'll have a magnetic station that will unlock their pouches and allow them to retrieve their phones as they exit the building. We obviously have all kinds of contingencies in place for emergencies. We've talked to our IT department. Our emails will be unlocked. It will allow parents and students to email each other throughout the day. So if a practice gets changed, you're staying after for a review class, you could simply email your parent. We have phones added to the main office for next year. There'll be 2 phones on the counter. You can come down and make a phone call anytime you want. And phone calls can be transferred from any part of the building down to the main office if you're trying to get hold of your parent. So we're looking forward to having that get rid of that distraction, and we're going to take care of the opportunity for kids to communicate with their parents through the emails and the phones located inside of the main office. With the enforcing the new code of conduct, we've talked about this. We have several steps. It's like anything else. It's going to be new. We're going to teach them how to do it. So the first couple days, we're going to practice what we preach. We're going to have teachers keep their phones away. We're going to have our students place their phones in their bags, and we're going to go cold turkey at Columbia High School next year. We're going to start right off from day one with the phones away. And we have various levels. Our first offense is a simple warning. Our second offense rises to a parent meeting and a parent phone call, so forth and so on. We go up to our third offense, which could be your phone could be confiscated, and your parent will have to come retrieve it in the office. And then after that, we look at it as kind of insubordination and not following directions, and then we go right to our code of conduct, which can lead to after-school detention, to in-school suspension, to parent meetings, and along those lines. And we're really not hoping to get there. Just like Nate had mentioned earlier, we want to educate kids, we want to educate parents, and we want to teach them to be distraction-free for the 6 or 7 hours that they're here throughout the day. I think that's an important part of this process, is that we need to explain that to the kids. And at this age, they can't regulate that. So we're going to help regulate that for them so they won't have that distraction throughout the day. And I'm looking forward to it. My favorite time of the year is when I go to the beach and I don't bring my phone with me every day. I read a book, I have conversations, I swim and enjoy. And we're kind of thinking the same thing will take place next year. You'll be distraction-free, engaging your studies, engaging your friends. We're going to add board games and other things to the cafeteria so kids will have opportunities to do things. And we are really looking forward to just having that distraction-free school. And we also think it'll help with our safety. It'll prevent kids from doing things in bathrooms and classrooms and recording it and sharing it on the internet. So we're encouraged by that as well. And also it'll help us too with the quality of our tests and instructions. Kids will no longer be able to take pictures and share tests and share homework. So we're excited about that process as well. So we are really looking forward to the ban next year at Columbia High School.
For the last 2 school years, Goff Middle School has reinforced its cell phone policy, and the students are not allowed to have their phones when the instructional day begins. They can bring them to school, but they have to go away in their locker. They can come out at the end of the day during dismissal time. They don't come out at lunch. They don't come out in study halls. They're not out in class. And it's worked very successfully. Initially, the reaction was supportive by the large majority of the faculty and staff, by the majority of the parents. Some students had some real concerns about it, but the school community worked together for the last 2 years, and they have reported very favorable impressions in terms of the impact on the kids, impact on the overall school climate, and the impact on the quality of the academic achievement occurring in the classrooms. So we can do this. We can do this district-wide. This isn't just applying to Columbia High School. It's all district schools. So even down to the elementary schools, we have kids as they get up into the 4th and 5th grade who carry cell phones. We have kids that have smartwatches. This is required of all school districts in New York State and will be enforced in all schools in the East Greenbush Central School District come Mr. Wagner.
I'd like to add to what you were talking about as a parent of a child in a district as well. My son attends Goff, and he got a cell phone in 6th grade, which I did not want to have to do. But when every other kid gets a cell phone, then your kid's the odd one out, right? And that's kind of what's been going on. This has become a snowball effect, right? So now we're dealing with that. So my son has never had his phone at school yet. And he's in 7th grade now, and he is used to it. He doesn't even think about using his phone during the day. And talking to other parents, we are all, those who I know, have been all so supportive of the kids not having it there, and that's why we're saying the trend should continue. Luckily, I work in a district, so my son has been able to email me with some concerns. So the fact that we're opening that up is going to be huge because, once again, and at the end of the school day, even like after you're doing sports, I believe, right, they're going to be able to have their phones. Yeah. So they'll still be able to call from the sporting event and from things like that. And that's usually when most of the changes happen. It's not during the school day that you don't find out about sporting. My son's been able to be really successful, and they're already used to it. So I think that this has been proven to work already at Goff. We can make it work at the high school.
Very good. So let's go back to Maddy for just a minute. Maddy, as you anticipate this change next year, we've heard across the state parents having concerns about their child being able to get in contact with them in the event of an emergency or a change in circumstances, such as needing to be picked up after school when they thought they were going to go to practice. Mr. Harkin identified at least two ways that parents will be able to connect with their kids during schools. Can you talk about that issue a little bit? We've talked about emails, additional phones being able to be used. Kind of when I went into school, we didn't have phones. We just went down to the office and called our mom or dad.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, my mom was definitely also concerned about that problem because I play sports. So she was like, well, what if something changes? But I just told her, like, I think opening the email up to, like, outside of the district is a really good, like, definitely one of, like, the best decisions we made because you can, like, stay, like, you don't need your phone for it. You can just use your Chromebook here, and it reduces that problem. I think that's probably the best. Yeah.
So, Mariam, this law not only applies to not having your cell phones out in school, it is all personal internet-connected devices, such as smartwatches. What do you think about that, and are we going to be able to manage that?
I think if you're getting rid of phones, then you'd also have to get rid of smartwatches because most of them are connected to phones. So getting rid of one or the other wouldn't do much of a difference because you would just see kids walking down the hallway, looking at their watches, still connected to their phones because as long as it's on you, it's still connected, so that wouldn't do anything. So the watches would have to go into the Yonder pouches as well for the initiative to actually take place.
Very good. So Yonder pouches, we've talked about those a couple times. People listening out there may not know what a Yonder pouch actually is. So I'm going to ask Manya to explain what a Yonder pouch is and how it is utilized. Some people might have the perception, as I did initially, that it deactivates your phone, and that through some kind of technology, and that's not the case. What is the purpose of a Yonder pouch, and how does it work?
It essentially blocks all the signals to your phone so that your phone is still on your person and you can feel comfortable and safe that it's with you, but you have no connection to it and it has no connection to the world, essentially. And then it unlocks and unlocks using a certain magnet, similar to what you see in clothing stores with that kind of tag. So it's a very easy process, takes about a second to use that magnet to unlock and lock. So it'll be a very quick process in the morning and the evening. That's
I
about
think
it.
that's a great explanation. Some people might have the impression, well, why do you need a yonder pouch? Why can't the kids just put their phones in their locker? Nate, you want to take that one? Why not just have the kids lock their phones in the lockers?
I think the purpose of a yonder pouch, many people are like, oh, like exactly what you said, like why can't we just like keep them out of our pockets in their lockers? But I think it's more of a softer approach that we've already tried, where it's like, because we have a rule where like, oh, no phones allowed, but obviously it doesn't work because now we're doing this, which we need. And I think even though the yonder pouch isn't the staple of this, and it's more of that we are mandating that they're like not allowed to be in the phones, and it's about the punishment and not necessarily like all focus on the yonder pouch. I think they're an efficient like almost like a catalyst for this ban that we're doing. It's like it's kind of just like a way to provide a thing, be like, okay, put it in your pouch, like put it in your pouch, instead of just like put it away, because away is vague and a pouch is specific. It's like I think that is kind of just gives teachers a route to kind of do it. Just I think it streamlines things, makes it a little easier and a little more simple, and it also is a little more easy to enforce than in your locker or in your pocket or in your bag. I just think it makes it so much more streamlined. And also I kind of wanted to add on to some things that Mr. Wagner and Mr. Harkin said, if that's okay.
Sure.
Because I remember they were talking about how it's not only about the addiction, but it's about kind of making learning more efficient, more effective, and almost just more face-to-face. Like Mr. Wagner said, he always sees people picking up their phones. And coming from a Montessori school, I think one of their biggest strengths is that the connection they form with their students and their teachers is so strong and so deep. And I think that is some of the best learning I've ever experienced, some of the best growth I've ever experienced. And I think that we can get some of that in our high school if we take away the phones and lean into more of a face-to-face connection, more just get deeper into the lessons, better connections with our teachers instead of just staring at our phones, or even with our students. Like at Montessori, we're such a tightly knit community. I think it just helps everything. And I think when students aren't looking at their phones and they're talking to each other instead, like we saw at Bethlehem and the other school we visited, right. Troy, I was talking to some of the kids. Some of them were just candid. We just grabbed them off in the hallways and we're like, what do you think? And they're like, yeah, like it sucks, but I talk to my friends way more, even outside of school. And I think that will just provide like it'll be hugely beneficial to not only our school, but our community and our children's mental health, which is extremely important.
Very good. Thank you, Nate.
Could I add something about the yonder pouches?
Sure.
A lot of students ask, why can't we just use like pocket phones on the wall, like those little number things? And I think we have to realize that not all students are going to listen to that, and that these yonder pouches are really a way to hold us more accountable, and we need that accountability because we don't have that self-control, and this is a really good way to learn it.
One of the things about the yonder pouches is you can keep it on your person, and therefore it's still close to you. You don't have to worry about anybody doing anything to damage your phone or take your phone. You're still holding it near you. Mr. Wagner, I have heard many parents say, as we've been talking about this cell phone issue, well, if the students can't have them, the teachers shouldn't either. What are we going to do to make sure that teachers provide the modeling necessary to support this new policy?
So Goff Middle School has already been enforcing a policy on this. So we already have answers to that because the staff there have been doing a great job of leading by example. It's going to be a learning curve for us as well. But the majority of us, if not all of us, really want this ban. We're really excited, really happy that the governor has listened to teachers, listened to the statewide union NYSIT. You and I got to attend a conference where the governor was there, and we heard some of the stories of the dangers of social media and the dangers of the phones. So we're going to, strongly advocate that we need to be the models. We need to be the ones that show that we can do it, you can do it. And I also just want to jump in about the yonder pouch is if we don't use a device to encapsulate the phone, whenever you do have a free second, not in class, you're going to go straight to that phone. You're going to go to if we did in the locker thing, the younger grades aren't as addicted yet. By the time we get to high school, you are literally addicted to the phone. So if we say, okay, you can't be on in class, in between classes, you're all going to be running to your lockers to go get onto that phone right away. Lunchtime is going to be a time. One of the things that we found out by visiting Troy and visiting Bethlehem is what Nate said, the relationships that people are forming, the discussions that are going on, kids talking face to face. And I really, really love what Nate was saying about forming relationships. That's one of my biggest goals as an educator, is to form strong relationships with my students. And that phone is a barrier to that. Because when you have a teacher constantly telling you to put your phone down, then you're like, I don't like that teacher, because they keep telling me to put my phone down. So why do I want to talk to them and form a relationship with them and talk face-to-face with them? So it really is such a barrier. It does make communication easier, but you just communicate with your friends. You're not going to make new friends, meet new people, get to know your teachers. And that's one of the things we discovered by visiting the other schools as well, is that people made new friendships, that people they didn't know and didn't talk to, and in their classes. I think that's something that will help put away the resentment of each other, because we resent you for being on your phone and you resent us for telling you to get off your phone. That's going to be taken away. It's going to be completely taken away.
So, Mr. Wagner, you talked about the dangers of social media being part of the impetus for this initiative that came from the governor, and that was supported by the New York State United Teachers. Student mental health is at a crisis point. We have unacceptable levels of students who die through suicide and other mental health issues that are costing schools and communities our precious young people. And so this is really not about punishment, taking the phones away. It's about restoring the opportunities for kids to feel connected, which has been deteriorating over the years as we've been engaging in social media and being on the phone. So I'd ask any of the students that are here, you want to talk a little bit about student mental health and how you see mental health being better within our student body as a result of this policy?
I think so much about social media is you're comparing yourself to other people constantly, and with ads or whatever content you get, it's all specifically targeted towards you, and it's supposed to affect you. It's supposed to make you get addicted. And so social media wants you to be addicted, and that's the problem, because it's scientifically made that way. So you're going to happen, and it's almost like not your fault. And then when you're on there so much, you're constantly being affected by comparisons, and there's no way for you to turn it off. This is the first step to kind of restricting that and allowing yourself to unplug.
Very good. Other comments? Thank you. Mental health.
Yeah, student mental health, I think, should be, and might be, and probably is one of the top priorities of a school, because, you can't really learn if you're not happy. And I think what I said earlier and what Mr. Wagner also added on to about forming new relationships with your teachers, peers, and just having more face-to-face interaction, I think will be another step towards just like mentally healthier students in general. I think that's like a huge part of it. A social life, school is a huge outlet for mental health for a lot of kids. I think if we kind of eliminate some of the stress that comes with school and make it more of a face-to-face, more of a community, I think that can greatly impact our student mental health. And also phones, even besides social media, like Manya was talking about, which is definitely a huge part of it. I think just the straight dopamine that any part of your phone gives you. I remember a lecture Mr. West was giving me last year, and he was talking about how phones are essentially a mini sun in your pocket, and you're not supposed to have that. It's artificial sun, because you get dopamine from the sun and natural things, and it's kind of just a constant source of dopamine, and it just kind of ruins your brain, and it's just like, it's just horrible for you. And I'm addicted to my phone. I guarantee everyone at this table is, and I'm willing to admit that. And I don't want to be addicted, but it's hard. It's really hard, especially when the whole world revolves around phones. And in a world where our whole world revolves around this thing that we're all addicted to, I think eliminating them in schools is a fantastic, huge step towards kind of not going offline in the whole entire world, because I don't think that's possible, but just at least having one place where you're not on your phone and where it's kind of like pushing you to not be online. And I think schools are a perfect way to do that, because it's enforceable, and I think it's going to be phenomenal.
So one of the Actually, there's two requirements of the law that allow for the school district to approve a student carrying a phone or an internet-connected devices. And these two exceptions might be misinterpreted by our community, so I want to talk about them for just a bit. The first one is if a student has the need for a phone because of a diagnosis that requires them to utilize technology on the phone to monitor, for example, their glucose levels. They may be diabetic. That can be approved by the school. That process will occur through a standardized form, which is being developed by the district. That form would have to be completed by the parent or the caregiver, submitted to the school for review. Our school physician, medical director, Dr. Albert, will review that form, and that form will require a primary care provider's signature and a diagnosis. So this isn't about just writing a note and saying my child needs the phone for some other type of medical concern, such as anxiety. Okay, we'll talk about that in just a bit. It's an approved utilization by the school's medical director to accommodate a medical need that student needs that phone for, the technology that is available for them to self-monitor. The other exception is if it is required of a student to have that device because of an individual education plan, which is approved by our Committee on Special Education for students who may need modifications, adaptations, or learning tools that may be available on that phone to help them. Those are the only two exceptions. General anxiety, because my child gets nervous when they can't connect with me, is not acceptable, would not be approved. And again, individual circumstances could be worked out and discussed, but at the same time, we believe that the research on this is clear. Kids tend to have more anxiety, and people in general tend to have more anxiety when they have to be connected to someone else 24/7. And so we're trying to create that safe space for the 7 hours when the students are here, that they can be connected to each other, that they can be present for their teachers, and they can be present in the learning community of East Greenbush. Mr. Harkin, I'm going to come back to you. What's keeping you up at night regarding this cell phone ban as you think about logistics for the fall? Communication with the parents and the families is going to be key.
The big is to get the message out this summer. We're looking forward to working with this group of great students. We talked about maybe making some videos showing demonstrations on how they'll enter the building, how to secure their phone, but just making sure that everybody's clear that on day one we are going to report to period one. Every student will be issued their Yonder pouch in first period, and then they will all lock their Yonder pouch. And then moving forward, they will have to lock it when they enter the building, and they'll have to show us their pouch as they walk through the door. So that's really it. I don't really keep a lot up at night. We have great students here. We have great families, and I think they're all going to be in support of it as well and understand that it's a reduce of anxiety. It's an opportunity to focus on your learning, focus on growing as an adolescent and young adult. And I think that if we get the message out, and we're very clear this summer that once we come back in September, things should hopefully transition very smoothly to a cell phone-free school.
So we're going to encourage those families and community members and employees and students who are listening to this podcast to get engaged in this process, understand what the district's policies and practices are going to be come next September, ask the tough questions. It helps us to refine our plan, but we're also asking that everybody pitch in and cooperate. This is a state law, and I think East Greenbush can do it better than many, which we do in many, many areas. And so I'm looking forward to seeing this policy implemented and our district shining and being an exemplar of what we can do when we all work together. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Let's Learn Together.
And now, students share what makes East Greenbush the best school district in the Capital Region.
Hi, my name is Emma Cronin. I'm a 6th grader at Goff. My favorite thing in the East Greenbush School District is being able to go to the East Greenbush Library by bus.
Hi, my name is Nora, and I'm an 8th grader here at Goff Middle School. And my favorite thing about the East Greenbush School District is that we have a very strong athletic program.
Hi, my name is Skylar. I'm in 5th grade at Red Mill, and my favorite thing about East Greenbush Central School District is the ABC Countdown.
Hi, my name is Sage. I am in 5th grade at Red Mill, and my favorite thing about East Greenbush Central School District is Fun Day.
Hi, my name is Chase Lucier. I'm in 7th grade at Goff Middle School, And my favorite thing is that all the staff and teachers and faculty are really interactive with the students. I like to have fun with them, especially at assemblies.
Hi, my name is Eli. I am in 5th grade at Red Mill. My favorite thing about East Greenbush Central School District is the students and teachers.
For today's staff profile, we feature school bus driver Kelly Kendrick.
Hi, I'm Kelly Kendrick. I'm a East Greenbush bus driver. I've been driving for almost 19 years. Presently, I drive Route 9, but over the 19 years, I've driven many routes. In fact, I've driven, I think, every school except Red Mill. Presently, with Route 9, I'm driving for the high school, the middle school, and Green Meadow. And then in between my afternoon, I also drive for Columbia's job coaching kids. So I drive them around to various businesses around the district, and they do odd jobs and then take them back to school. The job itself is great. I mean, we have a lot of friends at the bus garage. There's a lot of, again, different personalities. There's people who've come from, different degrees, people who've retired and come to drive a school bus. So there's different age groups, and it's just a lot of fun. What I would say is great about the job is the hours. Obviously, the time off is, phenomenal. The standard joke is, what do you love about being a bus driver? And it's July and August. But really, the hours are great. I actually have a degree as a physical therapist assistant. I gave that up when I had my children to raise them. They're now grown. But I needed a job at the time that was convenient with the kids. I had snow days off and I had, vacations off, so it was convenient. My favorite thing would be the kids. They're always fun. The little ones think you're wonderful. The high school, they just want to get to school. So, but the kids are great. So, a lot of fun. I would say outside of school, I enjoy my 3 grown children, and I pretend to be a gardener, and I like to craft, so that's about it.
During each episode of Let's Learn Together, we will have a student highlight an extracurricular activity from school. Today, we feature the Goff Garden Club.
Hi, my name's Isabel and I go to Goff Middle School. I'm in 6th grade and I'm part of the Goff Garden Club. We have an indoor grower and we start off seedlings and plant them in the garden behind the school. And then in the summer, sometimes people will come and pick the stuff, and then people have fresh fruit and vegetables and things. We grow beans and watermelon, cucumbers, tomatoes, lots of fun things. I love to garden. I have a greenhouse in my backyard, and it's really fun. It's kind of just you and whatever you want to do. It's your little thing. It's really fun. We do lots of crafts. You have to be willing to get your hands dirty, though, but it is fun. In the winter, we meet once a month because, you can't exactly go out and plant stuff in the winter, so we meet once a month and we'll do, crafts. So once we had a pine cone, we made pine cone bird feeders. So you got a pine cone and you would put peanut butter and sprinkle it with bird seed, and the birds would come and eat the bird seed and the peanut butter off the pine cone. It was really cool. And then in the spring, we meet maybe once or twice a month, and then we'll check up and water our plants in our indoor grower, make crafts, go to the garden and weed the garden. Actually, this year they're giving us a new garden. We're gonna get a new one and a new shed with all of our tools, so that'll be nice. Anybody who wants to do garden club, if you like gardening, it's really fun, and I think it's a great way to spend your time.
Coming up on the school calendar, there are half days for students in grades pre-K through 8th grade on Friday, June 13th, Friday, June 20th, and Friday, June 27th. The 5th grade mixer, which brings together all 5th graders from our 5 elementary schools for a day of fun and games, will be on Monday, June 16th during the school day. There is no school on Thursday, June 19th in observance of Juneteenth. Columbia High School graduation is scheduled for Saturday, June 28th at 10 a.m. at Hudson Valley Community College. We look forward to celebrating all of our graduates. That's it for today's episode of Let's Learn Together. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you listen. Have a great day.